Yeah, there were people.
Women can know that chair.
Mr. Speaker, I think, if you allow me to finish, there are many. The testicle that ought to go into is one of them. There are many, and the chairman of defense will agree. They measure.
Point of order.
Let me finish before the point of order. Mr. Speaker, there are many colleagues. There are many leaders who sent me why their pastor has been chased. And in 10 minutes, the leadership of KDF could give me 1, 2, 3, 4 reasons, measurements including. So I am sure the next,
women to assist them
not only on this. So Mr. Speaker, there are certain criteria. There are many, and those who leave, they are not replaced. And I think let us not discuss, with your permission, the Kenya Defense Forces in a very negative. They have a special place in that. But the chairman of defense can call the generals in camera, and you are now talking about testicles. They will tell you something about even the teeth. They will tell you many things. And some of these things is because when you go, the training of the Kenya Defense Forces is so vigorous that you don't risk to take somebody who will die in the course of the training. So don't compare it with how the police are trained. Don't compare it with how the Kenya prisoners are trained. But I am sure the information, the reasons why many, including my sister, Mheshimiwa Mary Emase. And please, going forward, if it was in camera, Mr. Speaker, I will even tell you more. But now that it's in public, I don't want to say more.
What's your point of order?
Point of order, Mr. Speaker. You know, the issue raised by Honorable Emase is something that is out there in the public. Many Kenyans complaining about. Sometimes they think those are flimsy reasons why they are not taken. And I could understand maybe someone has squinted eyes because of shooting and, you know, flat foot, maybe because of running. I'm really wondering why, if what work testicles would really have to do with joining the disciplined forces. So I don't think we should belabor, but don't take it lightly that there are Kenyans who are raising concerns on the reasons why they are not taken to disciplined forces.
Point of order.
Yes,
thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir. With tremendous respect to Honorable Duale. And let the Army hear this. It's very important. We know the historical background of the set pieces that were given in the Army recruitment, including teeth. It is there to bite bullets at a certain point in time in history. Today, they do not bite bullets. That's why you hear that saying, you will have to bite the bullet, because the Indians were refusing to do it. So you had to have teeth so that you could bite the bullet. We required tall people so that they would see enemies from a distance. Today, you don't have to do that. Because if that was the case, the Chinese and the Japanese would have a challenge. Eventually, such things became disqualified. I think the whole code needs to be revised so that we do not have human rights abuses. But they are not even abuses. They are excuses that the Army is using so that it is able to bar some Kenyans from joining the forces, and, as we are saying, so that other people can actually get the slots. So surely the Army must open up on this.
Point.
Thank you.
Let's not escalate this. Okay. For avoidance of doubt, Honorable Duale, I also have a child who was sent away for exactly the same reasons as Mary Mases.
Your Excellency, I think just to give the way forward.
Not my child, but not my son, but a child in my neighborhood.
Your Excellency, yes. Speaker, you have, because of
you remember I told you about it.
Yes, I think the leaders are raising very good value.
Yes, Dawood, what is it?
You know, we have talked about men only, but even women are discriminated against. When they do a test, pregnancy test, they do not have anything. But once they go there, I don't know where it comes from, they have a pregnancy. And it's not true.
Anyway,
Kwanjia
let
sasa inashindwa.
the nominee
Chair.
answer the question
Yes.
and we move to something
Yes,
else.
Mr. Speaker, I think because the leaders are raising very important and they don't have the information, Mr. Speaker, under your direction, we have a very robust, good leader, head of the military health department called Major General Nganga, through the chair of defense. I think you can call him to Akamkunji and he lists the conditions which disqualifies. I think because what these are raising is public knowledge. Even I think they should even go to the media and they should sensitize the public. And I think is something we have discussed.
Focus on your environment.
No, let me go to. I'm no longer there, so
Yes.
yes. Next minister will deal with it if approved.
Yes.
Speaker, Honorable Dawood talked about waste management. Waste management is a serious issue in our country. Mr. Speaker, why do I say so? The law is there, the regulations are there, county governments are not enforcing. NEMA, waste management in the first place, Mr. Speaker, is a devolved function. All that as we do is to support in terms of regulatory powers. But waste management will be something, if I'm approved, that I will take it seriously. From our homes, to the trucks that carry, to the dam sites, the Dandora dam site, the one in Kachok, I think called in Kisumu, the whole environment is polluted, the air is polluted, the water is polluted. The law says you must color the bags, you must differentiate from the homes. Our homes have a responsibility. There must be designated bins in all our public places. So, Speaker, one of the things that I want to introduce, if you approve me, is that even public transport must have a bin in the buses. You know, public places like even the parliament must have those two different. In the malls, there must be different bins. The one for the organic wet, the one for the dry. But public waste management, which is a devolved function, Mr. Speaker, is an area that I think we need to deal with.
A nightmare.
A nightmare. Number two, I think the Shamba system, the community forest association are working very well. Some are abusing the law. We have now put in place what we call the community forest association management plan, where they will help us which part of the forest with a proper plan they can graze, and which part of the forest they will help us and protect, and we will use. But
Are you aware that your predecessor announced that there will be a Shamba system, and shortly thereafter, she said it will not?
That I think, I don't want to indict
Do you recall that?
Yes, I recall.
Yes.
But Shamba system or grazing or farming in forest by communities around under the Community Forest Association, which is in law, is about management, is about coexistence. We cannot regenerate, we cannot reforest, we cannot protect our forest if we leave the communities aside. I'll give you a very good example. Karura Forest. Karura Forest is not managed by Kenya Forest Service. Karura Forest, the way you see it, the way it's managed, is run by Community Forest Association, and they're doing a very good work. Noise pollution.
Do you consider allowing that kind of engagement in plantation forests and not natural forests?
Yes, yes, because we have got 150,000 hectares of plantation forest, which now we have put proper transparency and integrity measures and tendering system, unlike the old system where there was allocation by the big people in government. I think I totally agree with you. Community Forest Association, community living around must be given an opportunity, particularly where even a plantation has been removed, for them, as we plant, for them to plant and for them to farm. In fact, farming can be well done under the plantation, Mr. Speaker. Coming to noise pollution, Mr. Speaker, is another serious thing. But again, it's a devolved function. is a county function. They have no capacity. All they do is they give license to bus, they give license to clubs, and they don't choose which neighborhood. There are people who have got sick people in their homes. There are people who have children who are doing homework. There are people who want to sleep early. But today you'll find bars and clubs in the residential area. Mr. Speaker, we will not leave that to county governments. We will enforce it. NEMA will enforce it. We will not allow noise pollution to take place in residential areas. The whole zoning, the whole land use system, even the land use system that the county government, has violated must be brought back. So noise pollution is key, and we are going to deal with it, but it's a default function. I think, Honorable Mayor, I must say I have discussed about the waste management.
Let's go to Gikaria.
Yeah, waste management I have done. Reforestation, we're doing very well with the 15 billion tree planting program that we have.
Gikaria.
Thank you, Chair. I've really taken note, being a chair of the Environment and Forestry Committee, the departmental committee, just for purposes of future reference on what the nominee is saying. But, Honourable Chair, I have two issues. One is about the 15 billion trees, a very ambitious program. But the scientists and a few of the experts are also arguing in terms of forest fires. Assuming we have the 15 billion trees, and only half of that, God forbid, catches fire. So what are the plans that the nominee will take into consideration when he will be, if nominated? What plans do you have to address forest fires? Secondly, and I don't want to belabor on the pollution that has been spoken about, Honourable Chair, most of our schools and other institutions from the colonial times have been using asbestos for purposes of roofing. And asbestos over the time have been a cause of cancer and environmental pollution. Maybe what plans are there for the nominee to address the use of asbestos that are in our schools, health institutions, and so many other places? Thank you, Honourable Chair.
Thank you, Speaker. Mine to begin with is, Speaker, I was looking at the resume or the CV of the nominee. And the CV has given a lot of hope to many Kenyans, professionals, that it's not only that you must come from Nairobi University that you can be nominated as a minister.
Which one is Nairobi University?
Almost every nominee,
it's
Honourable
called
Speaker.
The University of Nairobi. It's not Nairobi University.
Honourable Speaker, I thank you and I respect. I'll go your direction, but I will call it Nairobi University or University of Nairobi. But almost every nominee, Honourable Speaker, and I think this is good for record, for future, that people who have been to other universities, Moi University, Kenyatta University, all the people, Honourable Speaker, that I have seen, is only Nairobi University, Nairobi, almost everybody.
That's
until when I was saying...
Kindiki came from Moi University.
It's only one. It's actually a rare species. With this one, there are only two. Everybody else, Honourable Speaker, and I think it's good for record, that other universities, graduates from other universities, are qualified to become also nominees of ministers and even ahead of it should not be Nairobi University. What about Kenyatta University? What about Moi University? And so on and so forth. I thank you, Honourable Speaker, and I will use the questions asked by other members to judge the suitability of the candidate. I thank you, Speaker.
Mine is very brief. Honourable...
You have any questions or don't answer?
Honourable Duale is telling us to plant trees, but yet Kenya Power on the other side is busy felling trees. There's a trend in this country that Kenya Power has decided that it is actually going to bring down trees. Nairobi is awash with very hoary situation of trees that have been felled by Kenya Power, very recklessly, some very old indigenous trees. Honorable Duale, what will you do so that this cross-purpose by government is immediately stopped? Number two is a Mau forest. The Mau ecosystem has become a problem. Successive governments have not been able to deal with the situation. There's a lot of the human activity, and it is because of settlement of people living around Mau forest. What will you do to make sure that the people who've been moved out of Mau forest are resettled?
Yes, go ahead, nominee.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me start with the asbestos. Mr. Speaker, asbestos is a serious matter. Asbestos produces something called fiber that leads to lung cancer. And Mr. Speaker, we have mapped out, the ministry has mapped out, NEMA has mapped out 4 ministries who their institutions still have asbestos since independence. The Ministry of Defense, if you go to our barracks in Lanet and everywhere, Ministry of Interior, Ministry of Education, many schools, and Ministry of Lands and Housing.
And churches.
I'm just first talking for churches. Government.
Yes.
So Speaker, we have given, and health, we have given government entities until, if you approve me, December 2024, they must remove. And NEMA has put in place a program on how to dispose those asbestos. We expect county governments to give us land, field. Secondly, and more important, Mr. Speaker, now that we come to churches and other now individual private citizens, within the next 3 months, if this committee approves me, we will also do an audit and map the whole country where asbestos roof is still in place. It's a dangerous thing, it's a threat to our health, and it is a cause of lung cancer, Mr. Speaker. I think on the 15 billion, Honorable Gikaria, it is not over-ambitious. We have to do it, and that's why the people of Kenya, in their own wisdom, have preserved environment in the preamble of the Constitution, in articles of the Constitution, whether we like it or not, in our own homes, in our farms, in the roads. Each and every citizen must take a responsibility of planting and trees and be part and parcel of this regeneration, reforestation, tree planting, increasing our tree cover, increasing our forest cover, and be at par with our neighbor Ethiopia. Honorable Koech, I agree with you. They cut my trees. And when I went home, the Speaker, I asked, but the lines were just too thin. They should have cut only a branch. Yes. But, Mr. Speaker, I think we are lacking, and we are going to introduce, if you allow me, if you approve me, I want to introduce something called urban forestry planning and urban green spaces. As we sit here, there's no even stakeholder. This Ministry of Forestry and KPLC and the people who are in the road agencies and others, there is nothing called urban forestry planning. We must plan for our green spaces in urban cities. We must plan for our trees in urban cities. Every citizen plants trees. They buy from, they have seen on the road. And then an entity called Kenya Power Lighting cannot. Speaker, I will introduce what is happening in India. In India, you can't cut a tree, even in your own homestead, before you plant another one. You need to go and get a permit. You say, I am going to cut a tree in my house, but I'm going to replace, and I have planted it, and you show evidence. Secondly, even if you have half an acre in India, you must tell the planners, the county, that 20% of my compound is for tree planting, is for forest.
Nominee.
And yes, so I think those
we
are the
were with you in this parliament when we passed the Forest Act. And among the salient features was that each and every owner of land in Kenya, both private and public, must plant a minimum of 10% of that land with trees. You remember? Yes. How are you going to enforce that?
Give me the job, Mr. Speaker. Give me the job, I will implement. It's the law. I'm not reinventing the wheel.
It's not unique to India.
Yeah.
We have it in our statutes.
Yeah. India, in fact, Mr. Speaker, is 30%, but we start with 10%.
Ours was 10%.
Yes, but, Honorable Quet, I want to categorically tell you that if this House approves me, the first meeting that we're going to have with the KPLC, with the road agencies, with the other people who provide social amenity facilities, that they cannot come and cut trees, anyhowly, without due regard to the law. No, on Mau Forest, Mr. Speaker, Mau Forest, you know the history of Mau Forest. It has consumed people politically. And I don't want, because I will not be, I'm not in politics, but it has consumed many people. But I want to urge my colleague, and I'll sit with the communities around that place, because even today, the biggest problem we have is Mau Forest, where a lot of illegal grazing is taking place, and that illegal grazing is taking place by very powerful people who are in position. It's not the ordinary citizens. But still, we will use the community forest association provided in law on how we manage Mau. We have fenced a greater part of Mau, and we will fence, once we get resources, the other part. Fencing is the way to go to conserve our forest, Mr. Speaker and members.
Naisula.
Thank you, Chairman. So, listening and having interacted with Honorable Duale in the National Assembly as our majority leader then, it will be important to know your position or what you think about public servants engaging in politics, whether actively, in what you say, in what you do. What is your thought on that, including public servants participating in harambees? I would like to know what your position is on that is, so that we know whether if someone wants to be a public servant, then you be a public servant. If you want to be a politician, you go back to politics. And I want to put it to you on the same breath, and even to Kenyans who are watching, that the beauty of vetting is not only to find the nominees to be suitable, but also to hold you to account in case we find you suitable and other nominees as a country and as a parliament. And just on that, because you have said you have warned illegal forests, land encroachers, you will revoke titles on top state officials who are holding. It's actually now on 411. You can be sure Kenyans will hold you to account, because you know there's something that always follows you on that Al-Shabaab list to date. So just know that even this will follow you. I'm just saying that this will also follow you if we find you suitable. But on matters environment, very quickly, while sustainable logging may be healthy for forests, how will you ensure the ban on protected indigenous trees is enforced and that close monitoring is allowed during logging? Because the Kenya Forest Service only devised a plan for access, control, monitoring, and reporting actual harvesting. However, there is no established framework and procedure to monitor, verify, and audit millers' compliance with licenses and permits to avoid double allocation. How will you ensure that we don't log our indigenous trees? And finally, the staffing at KFS is not adequate. How will you ensure that you put mechanisms for using aerial, GPS, guided harvesting technologies to monitor forest resources and logging activities? Thank you.
Nominee.
Mr. Speaker, public servants, me included, if I'm approved by this House, I'll take whatever it takes to promote, to expound, to communicate government agenda, government achievements to the people of Kenya, whether I'm in Samburu with Honorable Lesuda. So I serve the government of the day, and I'll speak for the government of the day. And I think that is what public servants should do. Public servants should not get involved in the local politics, in the county politics. They are supposed to be unifying factors. In fact, to the contrary. It's supposed to bring people together. For people to buy government agenda and for you to succeed in implementing government policies and achievements and programs, you need leaders across the political divide, and more so those who are elected and those who are the community leadership. The 411, the one on Al-Shabaab was fake news. But this one, please hold me accountable. I'm one person who believes in accountability, Mr. Speaker. In the last 2 years, you and the clerk and the chairs of various committees will agree, I have been diligent when I'm called upon to Parliament, either to its committee, to the plenary, and the only time I refused to pick telephones, God forbid, was when during the recruitment. And that one I've given good reason. But I talk to members. And I am one person who respects the legislature, I respect the judiciary, and I respect people in public service. So I am ready. And please protect me when I cancel title deeds, when I do actions that is in the interests of the people of Kenya and the citizens and the country. Mr. Speaker, as our leader, please, if people want to bring impeachment to fight me, you must help me and protect me, if that is the case. The Harambee, Mr. Speaker, I'm a person who believes in Harambee. I think I have built more mosques and madrasas, and charity is a cardinal principle in my religion. Every year, in fact, this month is the month of Zakah in the Islamic calendar. This month I'm paying from what I have, and Honorable Junaid will agree with me. So Zakah can be Harambee. You'll see in my form that I have presented the number of madrasa of women in Garissa. Close to 5,000 women are in Islamic madrasa, courtesy of the charity I did through Harambee. I am sure there is a bill the leader of majority is going to bring. Those of us who believe in the Almighty God, that whatever He gives you, you must share. I really want to urge you, when that bill comes, let's regulate it. There are people who abuse it. Recipients abuse it, others abuse it. They use the money, stolen, corruption for Harambee, for other things. But let us, particularly, let us regulate that you can help the poor person who could not pay school fees in Samburu, in Garissa, in Eldoret, that you can finance through your own resources that God has given you, the good medical care clinic that Honorable Deputy Speaker did to many people. So I don't think whether we can close Harambee, but it's good we regulate it. And I think most of us who sit here every weekend and in our life as leaders, we have, God has blessed us because of that. I think logging. I think logging plantation, I said 150,000 hectares are made of plantation in our forest. There used to be the culture, Mr. Speaker, when you were minister, you remember, it used to be, what do you call it, allocation. Tied with corruption. Who is who? The really sawmillers were not getting it. The really people in the timber industry were not getting it. Mr. Speaker, that has stopped. Now, we have a segment for the local sawmillers within that forest, I think up to about 40%. Then we have another 60%. Then we have 40% for the other national sawmillers. But all this must be done through a proper, transparent procurement system, which is on our website, the website of Kenya Forest Service, and each and every Kenyan will be given, Mr. Speaker. Corruption will not be there when it comes to logging. And then last, I think, is technology. Honorable Lesuda, if you want us, of course, we want to increase our staff. We want to even use technology. We want to use drone to plant trees. We go to a forest, we see the degraded area, we use a drone that can do 2 million seeds in 1 hour. That technology is what we want to monitor our forest, to help our forest adjutants, to help our forest rangers, technology. But all this needs resources, and as a member of the Budget Committee, when Honorable Chair of Environment, Honorable Gikaria come, please support us.
Honorable Duale, if you are approved to be suitable to take this position, I want to urge you, take a helicopter and fly around all public forests and see the level of destruction going on. You will see what looks like a forest by the roadside. A kilometer inside, there's no forest. Charcoal poachers, illegal grazers, illegal loggers. It is bad business. We encourage you, in the event you find favor with this committee and be appointed the Minister for Environment. Environmental degradation has been classified as an existential threat to not only Kenya, but the rest of humanity. At least go down in history as a man who saved Kenya. Go to schools, teach children how to plant trees and live with trees. If a child goes to standard 1 and is given 2 trees to adopt, by the time they leave standard 4, 5, the tree is mature. Leta maji kidogo, mwagilia asubuhi. When you come to school, you check if your tree is safe. Very simple things. Because you talked of forest cover and tree cover. So the two will help us aggregate forests, enforce the Forest Act. If you go around the country and we want you to tell Kenyans what you are going to do, all our wetlands are being drained by farmers. There are small swamps that aggregate to a lot of wetlands in this country. They're all being subdivided, fenced, and drained away. What are you going to do about this? Because you have the law backing you to gazette all these as public assets. And if the owners compensate them, but protect them so that we can have a better environment. In the case you find favor of this committee, what are you going to do to protect the environment and the forests of Kenya?
Mr. Speaker, as you said, we have 11,000 wetlands. And the legal regime and the necessary laws are in place. I want to commit to you that we will protect, if this committee approves me, we will protect our wetlands. Secondly, even the 150 billion trees that we are to plant, the best place to plant is in our wetlands. Because in the wetlands, we don't need water. In the wetlands, we don't wait for the rains to plant. So even the 150 billion, we will start with our 11,000 wetlands found in all our 47 counties. But I agree with you, the forest that we see inside is a hollow. There is illegal grazing, there is corruption also between these illegal people doing either grazing or logging with our officers. We will take whatever it takes that there is accountability even within the over 6,000 forest rangers who have been mandated, who are paid by the taxpayers to protect our forest and our wetlands.
citizen who has sent me a message to ask you that on Mount Kenya, Mount Elgon, Mount Longonot, there are climbers who do that activity regularly, carrying food, drinks, and all manner of things. He's asking whether, if you are approved to be the minister, you will provide facilities on those climbing parts of toilets and bins for depositing litter. Because they say those climbers have got no toilet facilities, and you know what that means. And is that water that percolates down for human use? There's nowhere to throw litter, so there's litter everywhere. And this, I think, this Kenyan must be an environmentalist. Yes.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, even their facilities...
Owen Bayer wants to add to that.
I have received something here that probably interest you. I'll ask Honorable Duale in regard to camels from northeastern region contributing to land degradation by wandering all over Taita Taveta throughout the year, contributing to hunger and poverty.
Quick one, Speaker, the last one. I'm told if you can ask Honorable Duale regarding any plans to stop pharmaceutical companies and other companies who are dumping waste in the sea in Mombasa. Recently, needles were found during the cyclone that was going on there.
Robert?
Yeah, thank you. There is also a gentleman from Kitui County called Mr. Paul Mutua who says that there is concerns of insecurity in Mwingi and Kitui along the Kitui-Tana River border of an invasion of armed nomadic herders with camels in the area. Can Honorable Duale deny or acknowledge he has more than 100 camels in that area, and that is also causing insecurity?
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, maybe if you allow me, can I ask a hypothetical question?
No, just answer them one by one.
No,
Start with
just
the climbers.
Before that,
okay.
If you allow me, I want to ask a hypothetical question. In the Parliamentary Appointment Act, the public have a timeline of 7 days to submit all their concerns. Is it...
Honorable Duale,
yes, sir.
The public have 7 days to submit a memorandum that on oath that is either exposing something against you, something adverse on you, but when members are here and a member of the public sends a question, that is a legitimate addition to what we are doing.
Mr. Speaker, I cannot talk for
because
camel herders.
Yes.
Camel herders in Kitui County. I am a camel owner, and you'll see it in my list of assets.
Yes.
And my camels are in between Isiolo and Garissa County. But there's a historical notion by the leadership of Kitui, Machakos, that the problem of insecurity and camels in Kitui is not something that started today. It is their cherry pick. It's every time they speak, they do that. So I can only speak for my camels.
Of course.
They're in Garissa.
Talk about your camels.
And next time, Mr. Speaker, when you have time, they're doing very well, so I'll take you there. You have a history with Balambala.
Yes.
So you go see your client.
Correct.
And see my camels. Secondly, the same with Taveta. I have no camels in Taveta, so, and I don't know which camels are in Taveta.
That raises the matter.
That raises the matter. On pharmaceutical...
Let him answer. Let him finish with...
On the pharmaceutical, yes, I agree. NEMA has a very strong enforcement...
Hold on, Duale. What's your point of order?
Mr. Speaker, why is it that all camels that are traversing the country, people think belong to Honorable Duale? And there are many camel owners like us.
Simply because he carries the tag as a senior leader from the region. So people associate everything from the region with the leader.
It's a motion.
And the Speaker, I am ready now and in the future to carry the tag of the community. That's why, as you said, I am their leader. And I have no apologies to
answer what Naisula asked you.
Naisula asked me about, and I agree. I think we need to protect the environment, more so the sea. There was even one time some people wanted to dispose of condemned sugar into the sea, and we refused. NEMA has a very strong enforcement policy. The other stakeholders who protect our marine at the coast are also on top of everything, and we will make sure. But Honorable Aizuna, maybe if you have the details, you'll help us. That particular company, we will deny the licenses straight away. Yeah.
The climbers?
Mr. Speaker, the camels are many. The climbers, Mr. Speaker, even at the bottom of most of these mountains, particularly Abadeas, and their facilities, only that they have been left to waste. So we need first to have the facilities, the lodges. It can be a very good tourism attraction. And then on top, as they climb.
Yeah, Honorable Duale, I think I've climbed Kilimanjaro, so I know what happens.
Yes.
At every stop where people eat, there should be a bio toilet that can be, the waste can be disposed.
Yes.
There should be the containers for people to throw the paper, if they're carrying any bottles and so on, but also bandas so that they can sleep at intervals. Because I know that if that doesn't happen, then what happens is the waste ends up being left and you get volunteers who actually go and pick it up. So it's actually a way of protecting the climbing route. But Mount Kenya is better. Kilimanjaro is a crisis.
I'll find out. And in fact, there are 10 of my good friends who have left today for Kilimanjaro for 10 days. But I think it's a very good idea. We will make sure that we implement it. It will help us in increasing the numbers of the people who will climb.
And also the climbers to be hired in the Kenya Forest Service and the wildlife.
For guidance.
Yeah. Mr. Speaker, there's a clarification I would require from the nominee. Because when I asked the question, I said I've read the question from someone called Paul Mutua from Kitui. In his response, he has said that, and this is on record, he said leaders from Machakos and Kitui. Now, this is not a leader, this is just a person who sent me the message. I can even share with him. So I would like a clarification. When he says leaders from Machakos and Kitui are basically picking on him, it's important because I'm a leader from Machakos and I'm just reading a question.
Point of order.
Because I have hold the Quran.
Point of order, Honorable Speaker. That will be an interjection between now leaders of Garissa and the leaders of Kitui. We have nothing to do with it, Honorable Speaker.
No, I think if you allow me, he has asked a very good question. He has asked a very good question, but I want to give evidence. Speak on a number of times. And one of the time was when my good friend, the Wiper leader, lost his mother. I think, his father, one of his parents. And I went with the President Uhuru Kenyatta. And starting with the leader of Wiper, all the way to all the leaders from that region, one after the other, and I can provide the clip. They have mentioned me that I am the cause of the conflict. And in my presence, and in fact, in the morning when I was leaving, I told President Uhuru Kenyatta, that will happen. And he says, let's go. And they were telling him, but he never replied. I have other times when leaders from that region had a dispute. Garissa doesn't have a border with Mwingi or Kitui. We have a river border, but the really border is between Tana River and Kitui. So it is something which is in the public domain. It is the leaders, the senator for Kitui, the leadership.
Not go that route.
But that's it.
Let's not go that route.
I'll find another avenue to deal with that matter, not at the vetting.
All public people have at one time or another been others punching bags. And we live with it. So it should not, it's part of the occupational hazard. Honorable Duale will end with you by asking you, yes, by asking
Speaker,
you.
I take. That's out of order, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable
and even mentioning my party leader by the nominee is also unfair. Because that was never the issue. I just showed a message from a person, and I said I'm willing to show the message to the candidate.
Honorable Kalonzo is not an issue here.
Yes.
So,
Mr. Speaker, I withdrew. I have a lot of respect for Honorable Kalonzo.
Thank you.
I have a lot of respect for Honorable Mbui. He was my schoolmate. I have nothing personal. I am sorry I have withdrawn.
Thank you. Honorable Duale, now answer the following short questions. Have you been adversely mentioned in any integrity-related report or investigations?
Never in my life, Mr. Speaker.
Do you hold any leadership position in any political party?
No, but I am a member of a political party. No leadership. Member, I'm allowed,
Yes.
Mr. Speaker. I read the law.
State your net worth.
My net worth, Mr. Speaker, is, as of today, 980 million.
980 million?
Yes.
Comprising?
I have provided comprises of, I have pieces of lands, both in Garissa and Nairobi, my house in Nairobi, my house in Garissa, my cattle ranch in Garissa, my rental property in Nairobi and Garissa, my shares in family-owned business, my camels and cattle, and motor vehicles. And Mr. Speaker, lastly, I have got good revenue from the book sales of my autobiography, which is one of the best selling book, the #1 best-selling book as of today.
How much were you worth when we last vetted you?
851.
851.
Point of order, Speaker.
Yes.
The nominee recently launched his book, and he says that it has good some returns. I mean, there are thousands of books that have been launched in this country. I want to know how yours performed so well.
You can ask him on the side.
I think you need to read. If you read my book, you'll see it's the best.
That is not a fair question. Leave it there.
Mr. Speaker, and it is from a research done by bookshop sellers, textbook center.
I bought 20 copies and distributed
Mr.
to
Speaker.
my schools.
And I have now done my 4th publication.
Honorable Duale, we had received 71 memorandum on you, some supporting, some opposing, and we are satisfied that you answered all of them when we forwarded them to you. We've also checked your documents against what we have. They are correct. Yes?
Chair, maybe just as the nominee concludes, because this matter of wealth declaration has become a matter of public interest now, especially to our brothers and sisters in the room. The movement from your last declared net worth to your declared net worth now, can you explain
the growth?
The growth.
How much is it?
Almost 130 or so.
Boy Chungwa is an accountant, and there is both for land investment and real estate property. Usually the appreciation increases between 12 to 15%. So if you calculate 851 by 12% or 15%, that growth that amount will come to it. Yeah. It's about 140 million.
Thank you, Honorable.
And Mr. Speaker, also,
All
we have
on
got
account.
very good rains, so my livestock grew in number.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, Honorable Duale, we are done with you. Unless you are otherwise lawfully held, you are released to go to your other daily
Thank you, Mr.
routine
Speaker.
work.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I really appreciate the time you have given me and your members.
Thank
I wish
you.
you all the best.
Take back your documents.
See.
Bring in the next. Do you want a break? Bring in the next. Don't go for lunch. You'll go for lunch after the 3rd. Only 5 minutes. Robert.
All right, very important. There is the CS nominees vetting that has entered day 2. And of course, we're keeping tabs with the developments of that particular very key national agenda. And as you have seen, they have just taken a very short break. That session chaired by the National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula. A 5-minute break. But even as we continue to follow closely, Aden Duale vetting is the one that has just concluded. And the C is the CS nominee for environment. And among the things that Aden Duale has put across to this particular committee is that Mau Forest must be protected, ought to be protected, and of course needs to be protected. And he has also said he is qualified for the position. Remember, he's the nominee for the environment docket. So far, his net worth, he has declared, is standing at 918 million shillings. And as he was tasked by Honorable Ichung'wah to give further explanations on the growth of that, of course, net worth, he has attributed it to a number of things, including his real estate, family business, and him being a camel farmer or keeper. And of course, we have seen that Duale has strongly warned land grabbers. He's also vowed to deal with pollution, just but among other things. And we are going to be coming back with that particular session on the vetting, which is of course expected to run all the way to Sunday. Let's take a very short breather. We'll be right back after this break.